Now, Ascendis Health is a health and beauty brands company operating in plant, animal and human health, so diversification here on the target customer. Owns brands like Solal and Nimue. And it came to the JSE, sorry, Chris, in November 2013, controlled by the Coast to Coast investment company. The stats are?
Yeah, it's got a market cap of 3.8 billion, PE of 19.98, almost 20 times PE, and after maiden dividend now has a yield of around 1.62%.
Carsten Wellner is the man at the helm of this one, Paul, and the group has done relatively well to this point.
Exactly. So Carsten is the front man. He's the one that stitches it all together and is working hard to try and extract synergies. But the power behind the throne is, as you said there, a group called Coast to Coast, and the CEO of that is a guy called Gary Shane. So what Gary and his mates do is they run around as a group of accountants, finding companies that fit within this broad ambit and then buying them and adding them to the group. So the corporation has rolled forward. It's one of those things where they're constantly buying earnings. The group's getting bigger. They've got a debt program going now. They're expanding. They bought something in Spain recently. But the group's divisions fall squarely into this kind of surgical products and animal healthcare. But the 40% or 45% of earnings, which really is driving things, are these personal care brands. And as you said, things like Solal, Nimue, which is a brand which is doing all the sort of skin cares and creams and things, and then also the supplement activity like Farmantura and so on. So we put it in this conversation because it's got a bit of a footprint here. And
the diversification, of course, their target customer includes animals and plants.
Yeah, absolutely. And Solal, if I'm not mistaken, Paul, I think that's being sold through the Discam group as well. So yeah, it's very wide, very diverse. The results will be out in about 10 days' time, I guess, and I think they'll continue to be very, very good indeed. People keep on buying these healthcare products, and they've got great margins on them, and I think that's going to be a continuing force for quite some time to come.
So, Paul, when I say that their target customer includes plants and animals, I don't assume they're going to be walking into stores. Humans are still the ultimate target customer, but they'll be buying for the plants and the animals.
Exactly, although I'm thinking some of the dogs are probably going to be leading the way. Look, I think they decided that at some point it did fit. The surgical products also stuff is not unimportant, really. So what that is, it's various equipment supplies that are used by doctors and physicists and that sort of thing. So they do have a nice footprint there, and that includes some personal care type stuff, things that are used by people in the cosmetic surgery arena and in the, face care and related products, Botox and that sort of thing. I mean, I think the group is really demonstrating how a dynamic approach where you use the market mechanism. We've discussed this many times on Hot Stocks with companies like EOH is coming to mind, where effectively what you're doing is you're buying privately held companies on a roll-up basis using the scrip and the ability then to drive earnings growth through growth. So it's not just organic growth, it's a rapidly growing entity. I mean, when this one listed, in 2 years ago, it only had a market cap of below $1 billion. Now we're talking about 3.6. You can just see how that model's working.
I want to get the share price graph up here to just really examine the performance to this point. And Chris, you're going to take the lead on the conversation on Ascendis.
Yeah, look, you had a rapid ramp up not long after it was listed. Kind of gone sideways for a little while because, as Paul said, it had a huge rise, and I think people are just still assimilating this one, and perhaps still trying to get their minds around just how good it really is. So it's been coming off. I think there's some great buying opportunities looking at this graph.
Could be the heavyweight of the future, Paul. Is that a bold statement?
Yeah, look, I mean, they are dependent, of course, on the quality of deals they do. So this is quite an interesting move for them now to have gone and bought Farmalida in Spain. I don't know exactly what's in that. It's not the most enormous acquisition. I think they paid around 100 million rand for it. I stand corrected. There may be a subsequent payment to come. So that's taking them out of the Southern African market. So now what are we talking about? The potential to be a global player? That's interesting as well, and I guess there's no reason why that shouldn't be the case. I think there's probably still quite a few things that they could acquire in the local market as well. We know that there's some business divisions that they'll compete with in Tiger Brands has got an operation in this space as well, Neutralida. So I don't know. I mean, sky's the limit, but they're certainly very ambitious.
Hot or not?
I will go with hot. I like the fact that the management team is on the front foot to this extent.
Chris, hot or not?
Sizzling hot. Love this stock.
It's definitely got Chris Gilmore's vote of confidence.